It's Storytime Productions. TwistellysTwistedTales.
Hello, my friends. So I put together quite the package for you. There will be 10 stories in total. And after each story will be a scary, quick clip followed by a random horror trivia question. I thought it'd be kind of fun, and then you can have a binge night in one sitting. No need to sift through YouTube as much. But I will zip it. Hope you enjoy. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this kind of video. Enjoy.
Story 1.
In the desolate expanse of the wilderness where the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a cloak of darkness, two explorers, Craig and Don, stumbled upon an ominous sight. An enormous, decrepit mansion, looming like a shadow in the midst of nowhere. Curiosity laced with trepidation, the duo exchanged glances before pressing forward, drawn by an inexplicable force toward the looming edifice. The house exuded an aura of abandonment, its windows shattered, its once grand facade weathered and worn. Ignoring the warning bells chiming in their minds, Craig and Don pushed open the creaking door and stepped into the suffocating stillness within. A chill slithered down their spines as they navigated through the maze-like corridors, each step echoing loudly in the empty halls. As they got deeper, they stumbled upon a chamber frozen in time. A skeletal figure sat slouched in a chair, its bony fingers clutching the armrests. At first glance, it appeared to be a tragic remnant of the past, but upon closer inspection, horror gripped their hearts. Its eye sockets were filled with creepy, slimy eyeballs that followed their every move with unnerving precision. Panic seized their senses, yet curiosity drove them further. With trembling hands, Craig pushed open another door, revealing yet another macabre scene. Another skeleton, another chair, and those same haunting eyes fixated upon them. Dread gnawed at their souls as they realized the sinister truth. Every corner of the mansion harbored these grotesque remains, each with eyes that pierced through the darkness, watching their every move with malevolent intent. Their fear reached its zenith when they stumbled upon a chest overflowing with gleaming gold and sparkling diamonds, a beacon of greed amidst the encroaching darkness. Ignoring the whispers of caution, they seized the treasure, unaware of the ancient curse they had invoked. A cacophony of groans echoed through the mansion as the dormant skeletons stirred to life, their hollow sockets glowing with malice as they rose from their seats, driven by an insatiable hunger for vengeance. With hearts pounding in terror, Craig and Don fled, their footsteps echoing like thunder in the silent halls. Yet, no matter how fast they ran, the relentless pursuit of the undead persisted, a chilling reminder of the price of their avarice. At the edge of the path, with the mansion looming behind them like a specter of doom, Craig and Don turned to face their pursuers, their breaths ragged with exhaustion. In that fleeting moment, as the moon cast its ghostly light upon the scene, they vowed to live to tell the tale, a cautionary reminder of the horrors that lurked within the abandoned house in the heart of nowhere.
The hotel. A woman who works as a manager for a hotel located somewhere in Juchitepec, Mexico, has been informed by many other hotel staff that strange paranormal events have been occurring within the place. And one day, another staff member says they have seen someone in room 30, but the manager said that's not true because she vacated the room this morning and went to ventilate it herself. But a little later on in the day, as she's passing by, she notices something creepy through the window of that particular room. Watch closely.
Irma me dijo que se veía una persona en la habitación 30 y le dije no, y me dice, ¿está ocupada? Le digo no, se desocupó en la mañana y no hay nadie. Yo misma fui a ventilar esa habitación. Y ahorita que voy pasando por acá me doy cuenta que sí es cierto, se ve como que si alguien se estuviera asomando en la ventana. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa. Vamos a ver qué hay ahí, pero se supone que no hay nada. Y sigue ahí viéndose.
What looks like a person standing in the window can be seen, but there shouldn't be anyone in there, so she decides to go up to the room and take a closer look.
Aquí más cerquita. Sí, miren, ahí se alcanza a ver una cara, unos ojos. Vamos a ver a esa habitación. Estamos subiendo las escaleras porque desde ahí es donde estábamos viendo que se veía. Aquí ya no se ve nada, a lo mejor por el reflejo de la luz. Y vamos a ver en la habitación. Aquí está la cama, porque esta es una habitación pequeña. Aquí pues no se ve nada. Y aquí está la tele, donde estábamos, donde se supone que se veía, pero no se ve nada. No entiendo por qué se ve. ¡Ah! ¡Ay!
As she gets closer, a creepy pale grey face
That
can
is so
be seen
creepy. What the
through
hell is that?
window, and
Yeah,
its
no
eyes,
thanks.
nose and mouth are very easy to see. Not only that, but when she goes inside the room, you can see there is nothing there, so it's definitely not pareidolia, especially with the sudden bang at the end that scared her out of the room. Perhaps something tragic happened in this room in the past, but without more footage, this will remain a mystery.
It is quiz time. Which horror movie features the character Laurie Strode? Story 2.
In the small forgotten town of Ravenswood, nestled between dense, ominous forests and decaying abandoned buildings, an unspeakable horror began to unfold. For generations, the locals had whispered about the legend of the Whispering Shadows, a malevolent force that lurked in the darkest corners of the town, waiting for its next victim. It all started when a curious group of friends, led by the adventurous and skeptical Emily, decided to explore the long-abandoned Ravenswood Manor. The once majestic mansion stood at the edge of town, its crumbling facade casting a haunting silhouette against the moonlit sky. Despite the ominous warnings from the townsfolk, the group laughed off the superstitions and embarked on their ill-fated adventure. As the friends stepped over the creaking threshold, an unsettling chill permeated the air. The mansion seemed to come alive with a malevolent energy, the floorboards groaning beneath their weight. The air hung heavy with the scent of decay, and the walls echoed with distant whispers that only the bravest could hear. The group descended into the bowels of the manor, guided by the flickering light of their flashlights. The oppressive darkness seemed to claw at their sanity, casting long, distorted shadows that danced along the walls. Unbeknownst to them, the Whispering Shadows had awakened, feeding off their fear and curiosity. Emily, ever the intrepid leader, led the group into the heart of the mansion, an eerie chamber with walls adorned with faded portraits of long-forgotten faces. The air grew thick with an unnatural tension as the friends exchanged uneasy glances. It was then that Emily noticed an ancient mirror at the far end of the room, its surface tarnished with age. Unable to resist its allure, Emily approached the mirror cautiously. As she gazed into its murky depths, her reflection seemed to warp and contort, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly malevolence. The room's whispers crescendoed into sinister laughter, echoing through the chamber as Emily's friends watched in horror. Suddenly, the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, unleashing a wave of darkness that enveloped the group. Panic set in as they stumbled blindly through the inky blackness, the suffocating whispers growing louder and more malicious. The friends felt an icy grip on their souls, and one by one, they succumbed to the shadows, disappearing into the abyss. Only Emily remained, her heart pounding in terror. As she fumbled for her flashlight, a haunting voice echoed through the darkness, addressing her by name. The whispering shadows revealed its insidious nature, recounting the sins of Ravenswood and vowing to eternally consume the souls of those who dared to trespass. The mansion seemed to come alive with a malevolent force, the walls pulsating with unseen energy. Emily, paralyzed with fear, felt the chilling presence drawing closer. Shadows coalesced into sinister figures that danced around her, taunting her with agonizing whispers. Desperate to escape, she stumbled through the mansion's corridors, guided only by the sinister laughter that echoed through the haunted halls. The tale of the ill-fated group spread like wildfire through the town of Ravenswood. Rumors of the whispering shadows and the cursed manor ignited fear in the hearts of the townsfolk. As the legend grew, so did the malevolent force that lurked within the decaying walls of Ravenswood Manor. The story reached the far corners of the internet, captivating horror enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike. Speculation about the origin of the whispering shadows and the cursed mirror fueled countless online discussions. Some claimed to have heard the haunting whispers themselves, while others dismissed the tale as an elaborate hoax. Yet one thing remained certain. The once forgotten town of Ravenswood had become a focal point for those seeking the supernatural. As the legend of the whispering shadows continued to spread, the dark force that dwelled within the decaying mansion eagerly awaited its next unsuspecting victims, ready to consume their souls in the never-ending abyss of horror.
Unexplainable. A woman named Katie explains that she has been hearing strange sounds coming from around the house late at night. From unexplained banging to unknown voices, and even her dogs seem to behave in a bizarre manner, as if they can sense something otherworldly. One night, Katie gets up to go and use the bathroom around 4:30 a.m. when she hears something chilling and decides to lock herself in there.
People saying I'm schizophrenic. Do you hear that? Lord, save me. What the fuck? I'm the only one here, bitch.
All sorts of sounds can be heard, from whistling to tapping and groaning. The next night, she plans to head to the bathroom around the same time to see if anything happens. This is what she captures.
I don't want to go out there.
A shadow can be seen passing by under the doorway. It is possible that it could have been one of the dogs walking by. However, the strange sounds and the groaning definitely don't sound like that of a dog. Katie is now at a loss, not sure what is going on in the house or what she should do. A few minutes after this, her dog starts to behave strangely, crying at something behind the door.
Why are you crying? What? Maddie? Maddie?
Animals do not lie.
What's the matter?
Something or someone is there. Creepy shit.
What? Are you okay? What's the matter with you? What? Yo, I don't even... She's crying at something and there's nothing there. I don't know what's going on right now.
The dog seems to be crying and behaving strangely, and this bizarre behavior seems to continue for multiple nights, freaking Katie out to the point where she comments she's moving. But it has been nearly 2 months and nobody has heard from her ever since, so it's unclear what happened. Like most videos, this one is a mystery.
It is quiz time! What is the name of the motel in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho? Story 3.
In the heart of an otherwise unremarkable town, nestled amidst the thick shroud of overgrown foliage, stood the abandoned St. Peter's steel fabrication. Its towering silhouette loomed ominously against the pale moonlight, a monument to a bygone era of industry and labor. For a quarter of a century it remained untouched, a desolate relic of the past, until whispers began to circulate about the unnerving presence that lurked within its decaying walls. Legend spoke of the Peekaboo Ghost, a spectral entity that haunted the forsaken corridors of the factory. Its origins were unknown, its intentions sinister. Those who dared to venture inside were met with an unsettling sight, a pair of wide, luminous eyes peering out from behind rusted machinery, followed by a chilling grin that seemed to stretch impossibly wide. Among the curious souls drawn to the mystery was Amanda, a young woman with an insatiable thirst for the unknown, and her steadfast friend Crystal. Determined to unravel the enigma of the Peekaboo Ghost, they embarked on a journey into the heart of darkness. As they crossed the threshold into the abandoned factory, a suffocating sense of dread enveloped them. Shadows danced eerily across the walls, and the air was heavy with the scent of decay. With each step, the echoes of their footfalls reverberated through the desolate chambers, like whispers of the past crying out for release. Suddenly, a faint rustling sound echoed from the darkness, causing Amanda's heart to skip a beat. She turned to Crystal, her eyes wide with trepidation, but her friend offered only a reassuring smile. Together, they pressed on, determined to confront the source of their fear. The factory seemed to stretch on endlessly, its labyrinthine corridors twisting and turning like a maze of nightmares. Yet, despite their best efforts, the elusive Peekaboo Ghost remained just out of reach, its spectral form vanishing into thin air whenever they drew near. Hours turned into days as they searched tirelessly for answers, their minds unraveling with each passing moment. But just when all hope seemed lost, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber concealed deep within the bowels of the factory. Inside, they found a weathered journal, its pages yellowed with age and stained with the passage of time. As Amanda flipped through its contents, her eyes widened in horror at the revelations within. The factory, it seemed, was built upon a graveyard, the restless spirits of the deceased condemned to wander its halls for all eternity. And among them was the peekaboo ghost, a tortured soul trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Its antics were not born of malice, but of a desperate plea for release from its eternal torment. Determined to offer the spirit solace, Amanda and Crystal embarked on a daring mission to communicate with the ghost. Armed with nothing but their courage and conviction, they ventured deep into the heart of darkness, guided by the flickering light of hope. And as they stood face to face with the peekaboo ghost, its spectral form shimmering in the darkness, Amanda reached out with trembling hands, offering words of comfort and understanding. And in that moment, as the ghost's wide eyes met hers, she knew that they had finally found the key to setting it free. With a final haunting sigh, the peekaboo ghost vanished into the ether, its presence dissipating like mist in the morning sun. And as Amanda and Crystal emerged from the abandoned factory, their hearts heavy with the weight of their encounter, they knew that they had faced true terror and emerged victorious. For in the darkness, amidst the whispers of the past, they had found not only the peekaboo ghost, but also a glimmer of hope in the face of despair. And though the memory of their harrowing ordeal would haunt them for the rest of their days, they would forever be bound by the bond forged in the crucible of fear.
Hiking alone. A man named Bambo was hiking alone in the middle of the Pocomoke State Forest.
This forest is so haunted and evil.
For being
I have seen so many cases of terrifying incidents there, it's unreal.
Urban legends. While in the middle of hiking, he hears the woods suddenly go quiet and begins to get the feeling that something is following him. Worried for his safety while deep in the woods, he decides to start recording, and he captures this.
Hola, me encuentro en el Pocomoke State Forest, en Maryland. Este es uno de los bosques más embrujados de Maryland. Llevo 25 minutos adentrándome aquí en el bosque. No he sentido así una sensación muy rara, pero algo hay aquí porque nomás de repente es un silencio total. ¿Oyeron? ¿Oyeron? Bueno, espero hayan escuchado, pero les digo, sí hay sensación. Es una sensación rara aquí en este Pocomoke State Forest, que han sucedido muchas cosas. Asesinatos, desapariciones. Bueno, ahí si desaparezco ya saben dónde estoy, en el Pocomoke State Forest.
A sudden sound can be heard approaching him from behind, but as he quickly turns to look, he sees nothing there.
¿Oyeron?
Unable to locate whatever is following him, he decides it would be best to leave before things get out of control. Since Maryland is home to many haunted forests, including the notorious Black Hills Forest from the Blair Witch Project, could it be that something otherworldly was following him? Or is it just an animal? You be the judge.
It is quiz time! In the movie The Witch, what year is the movie set in? Story 4.
Once upon a time in a quiet suburban neighborhood stood a picturesque family home. It was a beautiful two-story house with a white picket fence, blooming flower beds, and an inviting front porch. The Anderson family had just moved in unaware of the sinister secret that lurked within the walls. The first night was peaceful. The family, consisting of John, Sarah, and their 2 young children, settled into their new home with excitement and anticipation. But as the night fell deeper, strange noises echoed throughout the house. At first, the sounds were dismissed as settling noises, the house adjusting to its new occupants. However, as time passed, the noises became more frequent, unsettling, and impossible to ignore. Unseen entities seemed to be scratching at the walls, whispering in guttural tones that sent shivers down the family's spines. As the days turned into weeks, the Andersons' once cheerful demeanor transformed into anxiety and fear. John became increasingly exhausted, blaming it on the mysterious disturbances that kept him up at night. Sarah's once bright eyes dimmed with worry as she tried to protect her children from the invisible threats that haunted their abode. One evening, unable to bear the torment any longer, John decided to investigate the source of these eerie sounds. Armed with a flashlight and a determined spirit, he ventured into the darkest corners of the house. Crouching in the attic, John discovered an ancient moldy tomie. The tattered pages spoke of ancient creatures known as trolls, malevolent beings that fed on human fear and suffering. According to the readings, they were attracted to new homes, drawn to the emotions of the unsuspecting residents. The horrifying truth sent chills down John's spine. His greatest fear was realized. Trolls lurked within the very walls that surrounded them. These malevolent creatures reveled in the fear they instilled, growing stronger with each terrified breath. Determined to save his family, John sought the help of a wise old woman known for her knowledge of the supernatural. Maggie, a renowned paranormal expert, listened carefully to his account and agreed to help. Armed with protective runes and ancient rituals, she set out to banish the trolls from the Anderson home. Under Maggie's guidance, the family formed a circle in their living room, clasping hands tightly. Words of protection were chanted, scattering the trolls within the walls into disarray. A gust of wind roared through the house, a cacophony of wails and screeches piercing the air. Suddenly, silence enveloped the home. The presence of the trolls had vanished, replaced by a newfound tranquility. The Andersons heaved a sigh of relief, grateful for their salvation. Years later, the Anderson family often looked back on their encounter with the trolls as a haunting memory. The house, once filled with sweat-inducing terror, transformed into a sanctuary of peace and warmth. Though the idea of unseen creatures lingering in the walls sent shivers down their spines, they found solace in knowing they had triumphed over darkness. And so the Anderson family's home stood as a testament to their strength and resilience. It became a reminder that sometimes, to conquer the most terrifying monsters, one must confront the darkness head-on, banishing fear to the deepest realms of imagination.
On the highway. It's just past 3 a.m. and a truck driver named Ken was traveling north down the I-57, a north to south interstate highway in Missouri, Illinois, when out of nowhere he sees something out of the corner of his eye that startles him. Now, during his whole career of truck driving and delivering items, he had never seen anything this strange and creepy before. Confused at what he had seen, he decides to pull over and review his dashcam footage. This is what he saw.
She can go meet up with him and see if she can get him to confess. And it's a tough decision, I'm sure, but Amy ultimately agrees. So she wears the wire, and she picks up Chuck, and she asks.
A person clad in white can be seen walking across the highway in the middle of the night, and it appears as though they just came out of nowhere. This has left Ken terrified without a doubt, because the very next day, a tragic accident happens in this precise exact location. The reports state that the injured people involved saw a lady dressed in all white on the middle of the road, causing them to react suddenly and swerve their car out of the way, resulting in a collision. What makes this even more chilling is that the interstate police reviewed the CCTV footage of the accident, and they didn't see any woman in white, just the car suddenly swerving for no apparent reason.
It is quiz time! Which of these movies involves a killer using a puzzle box to summon Cenobites? Story 5.
In a small, unsuspecting town, the annual fair brought joy and laughter to its residents. Colorful tents, thrilling rides, and delicious treats filled the air. But lurking beneath the veneer of cheerfulness was a sinister presence that would shatter the illusion of innocence. Enter Mr. Carnage, the malevolent clown who emerged from the shadows of the fairgrounds. With his grotesque face paint and maniacal laughter, he enchanted unsuspecting children and adults alike. But his true intentions were far from entertaining. As night fell upon the fair, the atmosphere shifted. The once vibrant lights dimmed, leaving only a cold, haunting glow. Mr. Carnage ventured into the depths of the fairgrounds, seeking his prey. His insatiable hunger drove him to commit unspeakable acts of violence and horror. With each victim he claimed, Mr. Carnage reveled in their terror. He lured them with false promises of joy, only to unleash his sadistic tendencies upon their unsuspecting souls. His razor-sharp teeth tore into their flesh, relishing the taste of their fear and pain. The town's residents grew increasingly suspicious of the disappearances, but their worst nightmares were yet to come. Mr. Carnage, the embodiment of evil, continued to stalk his victims, leaving behind a trail of mutilated bodies and shattered innocence. One by one, the fairgoers fell victim to his malevolent whims. Their pleas for mercy went unheard as their lives were consumed by the darkness that resided within Mr. Carnage. The once joyous fairgrounds became a haunting graveyard, a testament to the horrors that unfolded. As the town's authorities finally realized the true nature of the clown, they launched a desperate hunt to capture Mr. Carnage and put an end to his reign of terror. But the malevolent clown proved to be a cunning adversary, always one step ahead. In a final climactic showdown, the town rallied together, armed with courage and desperation. They confronted Mr. Carnage in a harrowing battle of good versus evil. The clash was brutal, with lives lost and blood spilled. But in the end, the town emerged victorious. Mr. Carnage, the malevolent clown, was defeated, his reign of terror finally put to rest. The fairgrounds, once a place of joy and laughter, now stood as a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath a smiling facade.
The video call. The original source of the video is unknown and not much context is provided, but two friends were talking to someone on a video call when suddenly that guy saw something that left him completely terrified.
¿Esta, la de Javi?
Sí. Yo vi... No, yo vi que la puerta que está enfrente suyo se movió.
Esa de ahí, nada.
Le juro que vi que esa puerta se movió.
No, mira, nos está vacilando, o sea.
No, chicos, no, yo lo vi con mis propios ojos, yo vi que esa puerta de manera lenta se abrió y luego se cerró bruscamente, chicos.
Nos intenta meter miedo,
No les estoy mintiendo ni por mucho menos, por favor.
But he looks pretty genuinely spooked.
Le juro
Could be real deal, hard to say.
Por lo que más tengo en mi vida que esa puerta se movió.
De verdad es imposible, no hay nada. Así que, y mi gato está abajo, es imposible que se mueva nada. Nos estaba tirando esto. Literalmente es el típico... Se ha quedado pillado. ¿Qué le pasa?
Atrás suyo hay alguien.
¿Cómo que atrás? ¡Me cago en la puta!
Just a few seconds after checking the room was empty, the door opens by itself and then a dark shadow figure comes out of the room, completely scaring the boys away. as they turn and see it. The reactions does seem quite authentic, as the guy on the video call did genuinely seem freaked out, and the boys thought he was messing with them. So is this a real shadow figure caught on camera? You judge.
It is quiz time!
Who directed The Cabin in the Woods?
Story 6.
The cold, sterile air of the morgue clung to Amy's skin as she moved through the dimly lit corridors. It was a night like any other, or so she thought. Amy had been working the night shift at St. Agnes Hospital's morgue for years, acclimating herself to the eerie silence and the unsettling hum of fluorescent lights. Tonight, however, would be different. As the clock struck midnight, the hum seemed to fade, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Amy, a young woman with a penchant for the macabre, couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. A sense of unease crept into the corners of her consciousness, and she found herself glancing over her shoulder at every echo and creak. In the silence, a subtle noise reached her ears, a faint rustling like fabric sliding against metal. She paused, her eyes narrowing in an attempt to locate the source. The morgue, usually filled with the stillness of the deceased, now seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Cautiously, Amy followed the sound, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallways. The rustling led her to the door of the autopsy room, its frosted glass window revealing nothing but darkness beyond. As she pushed the door open, a chilling draft grazed her skin, and the sterile scent of formaldehyde hung heavy in the air. The room was dimly illuminated by the overhead lights, casting long shadows that danced on the pull-out body tables lining the walls. 20 of them stood like silent sentinels, each covered with a white sheet. Amy hesitated, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. The rustling persisted, growing louder as if beckoning her further into the chamber of the dead. Summoning her courage, Amy approached the nearest table. With a deep breath, she grasped the edge of the sheet and pulled it back. To her horror, the body beneath stirred, its limbs twitching unnaturally. Amy stumbled back, her heart pounding as she watched the once lifeless form come to grotesque life before her eyes. The other tables responded in pure creepiness, sheets slithering to the floor as corpses rose with eerie grace. Panic gripped Amy as she realized she was surrounded by the reanimated dead. Their eyes, vacant and milky, fixated on her with a hunger that transcended the grave. Flight mode kicked in, and Amy sprinted towards the exit, the haunting moans of the undead echoing in her wake. As she burst through the doors into the hallway, Amy skidded to a stop. The morgue, once a place of silent repose, had transformed into a nightmare. The walking dead shuffled towards her from all directions, their limbs moving with an unsettling cadence. Amy was trapped. Frantically, she looked for an escape route. The emergency exit sign flickered at the end of the corridor, promising a path to safety. With a surge of adrenaline, Amy darted toward it, weaving through the advancing horde. The undead reached out with cold, grasping hands, their moans intensifying with every step. The emergency exit swung open, revealing a moonlit graveyard beyond. Amy hesitated for a moment, contemplating the risk of facing the unknown outdoors. The relentless advance of the reanimated corpses left her with no choice. She plunged into the graveyard, the uneven ground beneath her feet slowing her escape. The moon cast an eerie glow on the tombstones, creating long shadows that seemed to stretch and writhe. Amy's breath caught in her throat as she realized the graveyard was not empty. From the soil, more figures emerged, zombified remnants of the deceased, clawing their way to the surface. Trapped between the relentless pursuit of the morgue's undead inhabitants and the freshly awakened corpses in the graveyard, Amy fought back the rising wave of panic. She needed a plan, a way to navigate through the twisted labyrinth of death closing in around her. With quick thinking, Amy noticed an old chapel at the edge of the graveyard. Determined to find sanctuary, she sprinted towards it, the undead trailing behind her. The chapel door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Amy slammed it shut behind her, barricading it with a heavy pew. The chapel offered a temporary respite, but Amy knew she couldn't stay hidden forever. Her eyes darted around, searching for any sign of salvation. To her relief, she noticed a trap door in the corner of the chapel leading to a narrow underground passage. Without hesitation, Amy descended into the darkness below, the trapdoor closing with a muffled thud. The narrow tunnel stretched before her, and she moved through it with trepidation. As she ventured deeper, the sounds of the undead above became faint echoes, replaced by the distant drip of water and the eerie silence of the catacombs. The passage led Amy to a forgotten part of the hospital, a labyrinth of interconnected tunnels and chambers that seemed untouched by time. In her desperate flight, she stumbled upon a room filled with medical supplies. A glimmer of hope flickered within her as she spotted a radio on the table. With trembling hands, she tuned it to the emergency frequency. Mayday, Mayday. This is Amy from St. Agnes Hospital. I'm trapped, surrounded by the undead. Is anyone out there? Static greeted her, but she persisted. After what felt like an eternity, a voice crackled through the radio. This is Central Dispatch. Amy, help is on the way. Hold tight. Relief washed over her, but the sound of approaching footsteps in the tunnel reminded her that time was of the essence. Amy grabbed a flashlight and a medical kit, mustering the strength to continue her journey through the catacombs. As she navigated the winding tunnels, she stumbled upon an ancient burial chamber. The walls were adorned with faded frescoes depicting scenes of death and resurrection. The air in the chamber grew colder, and Amy sensed a presence lingering in the shadows. A whisper echoed through the catacombs, sending a shiver down her spine. Leave this place, Amy. The dead do not rest peacefully here. The voice seemed to emanate from the ancient murals, as if the spirits trapped within them sought to communicate. Determined to survive, Amy pressed on, her flashlight revealing the path ahead. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Amy emerged into the hospital basement. The distant wails of the undead still echoed, but the catacombs had granted her a temporary reprieve. She climbed the stairs, emerging into the sterile environment of the hospital once more. As she stepped into the well-lit hallway, a team of emergency responders rushed towards her. Relief flooded Amy's senses as they surrounded her, offering protection from the horrors she had faced in the morgue and the graveyard. In the aftermath of that night, St. Agnes Hospital became a place of whispered legends, a story passed down among the staff about the night the dead came to life. Amy, forever changed by her encounter, left her job at the morgue, haunted by the memories of that fateful night.
The ongoing. We have featured user WinMCPix before, and he has been experiencing paranormal activity inside his house for a long time now, which occasionally stops for a few months and returns. On one night, the activity suddenly returns when he hears his own voice coming from upstairs while home alone.
I am home alone. I'm hearing my own voice upstairs. The door won't stop knocking, and there's nobody there. This door keeps banging. I thought I was hearing my voice. Nobody's there. Go away! Open the door. Ooh, that was right over my shoulder. Who's... I'm giving you one chance to leave. I know what you're doing. Stop. It's not scaring me. It's not scaring anybody else. You need to leave now. Yeah, I got a feeling you're in this room, aren't you? Are you in here? This again. Okay. Come here. All right. If you're gonna play these games all night, I'm not gonna play. I'm not doing this. And now I hear the bathroom water on. Good grief. Get out.
The door closes by itself and his own voice can be heard calling out to him. Shortly after, a dark figure can be seen moving past the doorway, but when he opens the door, once again, there's nobody there. So is this a real ghost or just an intricate ruse? You judge.
It is quiz time.
Which horror movie features the character Ash Williams?
Story 7.
The swamp known as Lurker's Haven was a place shrouded in mystery and fear. Nestled deep within the heart of the twisted forest, its murky waters held a secret known to few. Locals warned of a creature lurking beneath the surface, a monster born from ancient curses and forgotten tales. The stories whispered of a massive, grotesque being that feasted upon the souls of innocent wanderers. No one dared to venture near the swamp at night, except for a brave few who scoffed at the superstitions. Among them was Sarah, a young and curious woman eager to unravel the truth. Determined to prove the legends wrong, she set out one evening, guided only by the pale moonlight that filtered through the dense foliage. As Sarah approached the water's edge, an eerie silence descended upon the land. The croaking of toads ceased, and even the nocturnal creatures slept. She noticed movement in the water, ripples spreading across its surface. Fear gripped Sarah's heart, but her curiosity propelled her forward. She stepped closer, feeling the dampness of the earth beneath her boots. Suddenly, the water erupted in a violent upheaval, spraying droplets of icy cold liquid in all directions. It formed a monstrous figure, standing taller than any human, with decaying flesh and eyes that burned with an unholy fire. The creature, covered in slimy moss, emerged from the depths of the swamp and fixed its sinister gaze upon Sarah. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah watched as the creature reached out its elongated arms, fingers ending in sharp claws. Its mouth twisted into a wicked grin, revealing rows of jagged teeth. The creature let out a guttural growl that reverberated through the night, awaking the slumbering creatures of the swamp. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The monster lunged forward, but Sarah managed to escape its grasp. She splashed through the murky swamp, desperately trying to elude the hideous creature. Its heavy footsteps echoed behind her, getting closer with each passing moment. The sounds of sloshing water mixed with Sarah's terrified screams, creating a cacophony of horror. The moonlight revealed a dilapidated hunting cabin ahead. Buried within the gnarled woods, Sarah rushed toward it, praying for safety behind its rotting walls. She slammed the door behind her, breathless and trembling. The cabin offered little comfort, its walls covered in cobwebs and dust, but it provided a temporary sanctuary from the looming darkness. Peering through the dismal room's sole window, Sarah noticed the creature circling the cabin hungrily. Its vile stench wafted through the cracks, filling the air with the odor of decay. Its eyes, glowing like embers, never left her. She could sense the malevolence emanating from the monster as it clawed at the door, the wood groaning under its force. Sarah had to escape, or become another nameless victim of the monster's insatiable hunger. She searched the cabin desperately, hoping to find something, anything, that would aid her escape. Her hand stumbled upon a dusty journal, its pages yellowed with age. As she flipped through its entries, she discovered a passage recounting ancient rituals and the history of Lurker's Haven. The journal spoke of a powerful amulet, hidden deep within the swamp, said to possess the ability to banish the monster. Filled with newfound hope, Sarah resolved to find it. Armed only with the journal and a flashlight, she crept out of the cabin, stepping gingerly through the treacherous swamp. The creature sensed her escape and gave chase once more, its thunderous footsteps echoing behind her. Sarah navigated the murky terrain, guided by glimpses of moonlight reflecting off the swamp's surface. Her heart raced with adrenaline as she caught sight of a small island in the center of the swamp. It held the promise of the ancient amulet of salvation. With every ounce of remaining strength, Sarah propelled herself toward the island. She plunged knee-deep into the water, fatigue threatening to engulf her. The creature grew closer, its foul breath hot against her neck. But just as it lunged for her, Sarah found the amulet buried in the island's soil. Summoning all her courage and faith, she held the amulet aloft and recited the sacred incantation scripted in the journal. A brilliant light burst forth from the amulet, blinding in its intensity. The creature screeched in pain, its monstrous form writhing as it fought against the amulet's power. With a final cry, the creature burst into flames, consumed by the ancient magic of the amulet. The night air filled with the sound of sizzling flesh and the sickening smell of burning moss. The swamp monster was vanquished, its reign of terror finally over. Sarah's legs weakened, and she sank to her knees, the amulet clutched tightly in her hand. The moon's gentle glow filtered through the treetops as the night retreated into dawn. She had faced the abomination that lurked beneath the forbidden waters and emerged victorious.
This first video comes from TikTok user WendigoHunter98, and in this video the uploader was out on a trail ride with their horse when all of a sudden it stopped dead in its tracks without warning, and then they heard this terrifying sound.
Easy.
We hear a terrifying sound coming from somewhere within the woods. Viewers believe this could be a Wendigo or a skinwalker. After the uploader heard this, they just decided to ride out of there, which I believe was the wise decision. Could this be the sound of a Wendigo? Let me know your thoughts down below.
Easy.
It is quiz time!
Which film is known for the quote, "I see dead people"?
Story 8.
Once upon a time in the turquoise waters of a remote tropical paradise, there lived a bold and adventurous ocean diver named Jake. He spent his days exploring the mysterious depths, searching for hidden shipwrecks and long-lost treasures. His love for the ocean was matched only by his insatiable hunger for adventure. One sunny morning, Jake set out from the small coastal village aboard his trusty diving boat, equipped with all the necessary gear. The ocean waves danced playfully beneath his vessel as he sailed further and further away from the safety of the shore. Little did he know that a dark and malevolent force lurked beneath the tranquil surface. As he arrived at the rumored location of a legendary sunken treasure, Jake prepared himself for the dive of a lifetime. He donned his wetsuit, secured his oxygen tank, and double-checked his diving equipment. With his heart pounding with excitement, he plunged into the crystalline waters, disappearing into the unknown depths. As Jake descended deeper into the cold, dark abyss, the beauty of the underwater world enveloped him. Schools of brightly colored fish darted through the coral reefs, and gentle sea turtles glided gracefully overhead. But amidst this picturesque scene, an eerie stillness hinted at something sinister lurking nearby. Guided by his underwater flashlight, Jake continued his descent, following the trail of wreckage that led him closer to the treasure. Suddenly, a shadowy figure emerged from the murky distance, dwarfing everything else around it. It was a colossal sea monster, its grotesque features sending a chill down Jake's spine. Terrified but determined, Jake tried to reason with the creature, but it had already set its savage eyes upon him. With a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth and tentacles that seemed to stretch on forever, the sea monster lunged towards him, its hunger evident in its every movement. In a desperate bid to survive, Jake kicked himself away narrowly, avoiding the monster's lethal grasp. He swam with all his might, racing towards the surface and the safety of his boat. But to his horror, the sea monster pursued him relentlessly. As Jake burst through the surface, gasping for air, he cried out to his crewmates aboard the boat for help. Panicked, they maneuvered the vessel in a desperate attempt to escape the wrath of the monstrous creature. The boat sped through the water, its engine roaring, but the enraged sea monster refused to relent. In an unexpected turn of events, the colossal creature struck the boat with such force that it flipped over, throwing Jake into the turbulent sea. Disoriented and disheartened, he realized that his escape had been futile. The sea monster's cold, lifeless eyes locked onto him as it descended upon him once more. Powerless against the beast's massive strength, Jake felt himself being dragged deeper and deeper into the abyss. The ocean's pressure intensified around him, squeezing the air from his lungs. As he tumbled through the abyssal darkness, his mind filled with regret for venturing into the unknown. In his final moments as he met his watery grave, the treacherous sea monster claimed its victory. The secrets of the sunken treasure remained entangled with Jake's doomed fate, forever lost to the depths of the sea. And so the tale of the treasure-hunting ocean diver and the ferocious sea monster became a chilling legend, a warning to all who dared to explore the mysteries lying beneath the enchanting beauty of the tropical waters.
Haunted. This sequence of videos comes from TikToker Lauren Combs, and she just recently got her windows replaced. And after receiving an image of the new windows, something very creepy and unexplained can be seen. Take a look.
So my landlord sends me this picture because she's trying to take pictures of the new windows that got replaced. And she says, WTF is in the left window next to the chimney. I don't own any dolls. I have a cat, but it's a kitten. I try to recreate it to see if I can somehow make myself feel better. There's scratches on the windowsill for some reason. I'm in the same spot that she was when she took the picture, and I can't figure it out. I hate dolls. I don't own them. I'm terrified. I live by myself, and I don't know what to do.
On her window, a creepy figure can be seen. Lauren states that she owns no dolls and lives alone, so there is no explanation for the image captured. Also, scratches can be seen on the windowsill, and it doesn't take very long for things to get worse after this.
Luna, come on.
Did you do that?
A bottle mysteriously falls over on its own, but this isn't the end. Things just seem to get weirder and weirder.
So I'm trying to be as calm as possible with all this stuff that is going on in my house. The books fell from that shelf. Thank you, Turtle. These are the books that fell, which is fine. Ignore my nails. I dyed someone's hair. This was one. The other. This one wouldn't be so bad if what was said on the TV as soon as the books fell. Right after. What the shit?
As we can see, a pile of books fall off the bookshelf at one point when the audio from the TV mentions 19 minutes. And after checking which books fell, she notices a book specifically called 19 Minutes among them. This is very creepy and suggests whatever being is in her home must have some intelligence. She hears something breathe into her ear, which gives her the creeps. So, is Lauren's home really haunted by some unknown entity, or is it just some deception at work? You be the judge.
It is quiz time!
What horror story is set in the Overlook Hotel?
Story 9.
Jesse and Matt were urban explorers with a thirst for the unknown, seeking adrenaline rushes in abandoned places. Their latest adventure took them deep into the heart of a haunted forest, rumored to be cursed by the spirits of those who had perished within its depths. Undeterred by the eerie tales, they embarked on their journey armed only with a sense of adventure and their trusty smartphones. They found themselves at the edge of the woodland as night fell, enveloped in solitude and darkness. They opened the Randonautica app, hoping to find anything intriguing, despite the shiver running up their spines. A glimmer of expectation flickered through them as they generated a point and followed its instructions, sinking farther into the enigmatic embrace of the forest. After what felt like hours of trudging through tangled undergrowth and gnarled trees, they stumbled upon a clearing. Before them lay a forgotten town, its buildings crumbling and consumed by nature's relentless grasp. Excitement tinged with apprehension coursed through their veins as they ventured into the ghostly enclave. Inside the decrepit buildings, they found relics of the past scattered amidst the debris: a rusted bicycle, a faded photograph, a child's toy forgotten in time. Yet, as they explored further, a sense of unease began to gnaw at their minds. It was as if unseen eyes watched their every move, and the air grew heavy with a palpable sense of dread. When they stepped inside a rundown building, the walls whispered whispers of long-forgotten atrocities, and their nerves snapped. 4 shadowy figures sat across the room, lit by the faint light coming in through broken windows. Their faces were covered in long, dirty hair, and their toothless smiles stretched into hideous caricatures of smiles. Jesse and Matt froze in terror as the hillbillies' empty eyes locked onto theirs, their stench assaulting their senses like a wave of decay. Without a word, the figures rose from their seats, revealing gnarled hands clutching rusted machetes and blood-stained axes. With a chilling cackle that echoed through the empty halls, they advanced towards the intruders. Panic surged through Jesse and Matt as they turned and fled, their footsteps echoing in the silent void of the ghost town. Behind them, the hillbillies' laughter grew louder, mingling with the sounds of their pursuit. Each step was a battle against fear and exhaustion as they raced through the maze of crumbling buildings, their hearts pounding in their chests. The forest seemed to close in around them, its twisted branches reaching out like gnarled fingers to ensnare their prey. Shadows danced in the moonlight, taunting them with glimpses of their pursuers drawing ever closer. Every breath was a struggle, every heartbeat a drumming reminder of their impending doom. Just when they thought they could run no more, they burst from the confines of the ghost town into the embrace of the forest once more. Yet, their relief was short-lived as the hillbillies emerged from the darkness behind them, their laughter rising to a manic crescendo. With nowhere left to run, Jesse and Matt turned to face their tormentors, their backs pressed against the cold bark of a towering tree. In the eerie glow of the moon, they saw the twisted grins of their pursuers, their eyes gleaming with madness. With a final blood-curdling scream, Jesse and Matt braced themselves for the inevitable. But as the hillbillies closed in for the kill, the forest itself seemed to awaken, its ancient spirits rising to defend its domain. The hillbillies vanished into the night in a blur of screaming and shadows, their laughing lost to never being heard again. And Jesse and Matt emerged, bruised but alive, their terrifying experience engraved in their memories for eternity, just as dawn broke over the eerie forest. Since they had seen the genuine horrors that hid in the shadows in that terrible location, they knew they would never again go where the forgotten spirits roamed.
Quick Clip 9.
The live stream. This video comes from the popular influencer Nessa Idris from Malaysia, and this Instagram live shows what seems to be a normal life until a very creepy turn of events happen.
Sekarang pindah. Apa tu duduk? Scary gila. Oh, skincare. I pakai hada labu. Tapi tu hada labu, duit labu. Mahal tu. Okay. Jarang balik because parents memang duduk kat sana, tapi because I belajar kat sini, so I mesti sini lah. Kalau ada cuti sen baru nak balik sini. Macam tu. Kita tak dapat lagi pasuk wifi. Nampaknya bateri sudah mau habis bah. Kita charge dulu. Torch. Sekejap awak semua. Saya kasih charge dulu. Sini dulu nak on ni. So ni ialah ni yang punya power bank kecil. Sorry. Oh, pantai. Sorry. Ya.
can see a dark shadow figure leaving the room in the background while the light begins to flicker and the door slams shut on its own. Next, her friend behind her begins to act strangely, as if she has become possessed.
Okay, stop.
So, is this a real turn of events all caught on live stream? Or just very well planned? I must say, if this is real, it is indeed a terrifying turn of events to experience.
It is quiz time! Which film has the videotape that kills people in 7 days?
Story 10.
In the heart of Cleveland, where the city lights flicker and cast long shadows, there lies a bar nestled amidst the bustling streets. It's a place where the night comes alive, but for one 24-year-old woman named Natasha, it became a chilling battleground between life and terror. Natasha worked the late shift at the bar, pouring drinks and exchanging laughs with the regulars until the early hours of the morning. As the clock struck closing time, she bid her co-workers farewell and stepped out into the cool night air, her heart pounding with the anticipation of the quiet walk home. The first night was uneventful. She walked briskly, the sound of her footsteps echoing against the deserted sidewalks. But on the second night, a feeling of unease crept over her as she noticed a figure lurking in the shadows, cloaked in all black. Natasha quickened her pace, her senses on high alert as she felt the weight of their gaze following her every move. Brushing it off as paranoia, she reached her doorstep and breathed a sigh of relief. Yet as she turned the key in the lock, a shiver ran down her spine as she glimpsed the silhouette retreating into the darkness. The following night, Natasha's nerves were frayed as she left the bar. She debated calling a cab but shrugged off the idea, convincing herself that it was just her imagination running wild. However, as she walked, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every corner she turned, she half expected to come face to face with her shadowy pursuer. When she finally reached her street, she made a split-second decision to hail a cab, unwilling to risk another encounter. As she waited outside her house, her heart sank as she saw the figure emerge from the darkness once more, a menacing presence cloaked in black. Fear gripped her as she watched him approach, his steps slow and deliberate. Her breath caught in her throat as she realized the glint of metal in his hand, a knife gleaming in the dim streetlight. Panic surged through her veins as she fumbled for her phone, fingers trembling as she dialed her brother's number. "Tasha, what's wrong?" Her brother's voice crackled through the phone. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Someone's outside. He's got a knife." Without hesitation, her brother rallied his friends and raced to her aid. In a matter of minutes, they arrived, armed and ready to confront the threat lurking in the shadows. Natasha watched from her hiding spot behind a nearby bush, her heart pounding in her ears as she prayed for their safety. The night air was thick with tension as her brother and his friends surrounded the intruder, their voices low and urgent as they demanded he drop the weapon. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, they lunged forward, disarming the assailant and pinning him to the ground. Relief washed over Natasha as she watched the flashing lights of the police car approach, the wail of sirens cutting through the stillness of the night. The officers quickly took control of the situation, handcuffing the man and leading him away into the night. As dawn broke on the horizon, Natasha stood outside her house, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline-fueled ordeal. She couldn't shake the feeling of dread that lingered in the air, a stark reminder of the horrors that had unfolded just moments before. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, one thing remained clear. She was alive thanks to the quick thinking of her brother and his friends. And as she watched the sun rise, casting its golden rays across the city, she made a silent vow to never walk home alone again. For she knew that sometimes, the darkness held far more than just shadows. It held the echoes of unspeakable horrors, waiting to strike when least expected. Hope I didn't scare you too bad. I had to throw that in there. You are a true horror fan. Thanks for watching to the end. You're awesome and hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you have not already. Smash the like buttons. And until next time, my friends, I will see you on the dark side. Sweet nightmares.